Shabbat Shalom, my friends. We commemorated this Wednesday the International Holocaust Remembrance Ceremony. And we did it in Singapore here. Despite all the COVID restrictions, we were able to hold this event, which is, I think, of extreme importance, not only for Jews, but to share this very, very meaningful event also with members of the Singaporean public. That is to say, to really spread the awareness of this important day. And it was a very dignified event, a very important event. And as always, I believe very much, following the teaching of the Admor HaZaken, the author of the Tanya and the Shulchan Aruch, Rabbi Shneur Zalman of Liadi, the founder of the Chabad Hasidic movement, who said that you have to live with the times. What does it mean to live with the times? It means to say to live with the parasha of the week. And so, what is the main theme of the parasha? Of course, it's the great miracle, the splitting of the sea. You're going to tell me what's the connection between this miracle, this very joyous event, and the great tragedy of the Holocaust. And indeed, if you look at the events around this great miracle, you find that these were such special times that even a maidservant was able to behold great prophetic visions, the like of which even Ezekiel the prophet did not behold. This is the extent to which divine energy was revealed in the world. The heavens opened up, literally. And so what happened after they cross? Well, actually, they didn't really cross the sea. Well, they went through the sea and they came out from another side, but on the same side. It's a whole discussion exactly how this happened. They actually went into a semicircle. And when they emerged, right, what they did is they broke out into a song. And so, what does the Torah tell us about the song? The Torah says that Az Yashir Moshe Vnei Israel et Hashira Hazot Lashem. That is to say, then Moshe sang this song to Hashem together with the Jewish people. And as you know, often the English translation doesn't really do justice to the original text in Hebrew. And it's very, very important to get cues, to really understand all the nuances, the innuendos that you have in the text. It's very, very important to read it in its original language, in the Lashon HaKodesh. And what exactly does the Torah say? The Torah says to us, Az Yashir Moshe. Moshe will sing in the future. Really, it should have said, as Shar Moshe. Moshe sang in the past, because obviously this song is about an event that happened in the past. So why is it that you're talking about in the future tense when it should be the past tense? It seems to be a bad grammatical mistake. And so, of course, Rashi, the foremost commentator of the Torah, explains this, and he says, well, Mikan Tchiyat HaMetim min HaTorah. From here you learn the concept of the resurrection of the dead from the Torah. Because, in fact, what the Torah is telling you is that this song that Moshe sang together with the Jewish people is actually going to be sung again in the future. When Mashiach will come, and after Mashiach will come, they're going to sing it again. And you think to yourself, okay, that's a very important principle. The resurrection of the dead is a very basic principle of Jewish belief, one of its most important tenets. And so the question really is okay, it's an important item of Jewish belief, but why is it that the Torah is trying to teach us this very important principle of emunah, of Jewish faith, right here in the Shirat Hayam, in the Song of the Sea, when they crossed the sea, when they went through the sea? And in order to answer that question, I want to share with you the story the story of an extraordinary individual, an incredible Jewish leader, who is named Rabbi Aharon Rokeach of Belz. He was the fourth Belzer Rebbe of the city of Belz in Galicia. And this was a saintly man. This is a person who's made literally of spiritual stuff. The late Lubavitcher Rebbe said that he was a glow, a reflection of Idgabrut Hatzura ala Chomer, which means to say he was more energy than matter. And he went through the most horrible of tragedies throughout the Holocaust. He lost his entire family, his wife, and all his children. And after many efforts, he was able to escape Poland. And in 1944, he arrived in Eretz Israel, together with his half-brother, Rabbi Mordechai of Bilgorai. And he settled ultimately in Tel Aviv, actually, not in Jerusalem. And he remarried but had no children. His half-brother also remarried, and he had a child, and after a few months suddenly passed away. And so the Belzer Rebbe took care of the son of his half-brother, and he groomed him for leadership. He passed away in 1957, and ever since, the Belzer movement, Hasidic movement, grew by leaps and bounds. And one of the most amazing stories that is told about the Belzer Rebbe is that when he arrived in Israel in 1944, he arrived in Haifa, and he spent this very Shabbat Beshalach, Shabbat Shira, he spent it there in the company of many Holocaust survivors. And, you know, as is customary by Hasidic leaders, is that on the night of Shabbat, on Erev Shabbat, they have a tish, they get together, they sing songs, they're joyful, they share Divrei Torah. And so, you know, he enjoined those present to sing. But they couldn't sing. They couldn't sing after going through the fire and hell of the Holocaust, losing everything. They weren't able to sing. And so the Belzer Rebbe speaks about what happened during the time of Kriyat Yam Suf, when the Jewish people went through the sea and came out. And Moshe Rabbeinu is saying to the entire Jewish nation, let's sing. And the Jewish people respond to Moses. They say to Moshe Rabbeinu, how can we sing? How can we sing now? Who among us did not lose a small baby that was thrown in the Nile? Who among us doesn't have a relative that died from the enslavement and bondage in Egypt? And we know that only a fifth of the Jewish nation actually came out of Egypt. The rest all perished in Egypt. Says the Belzer Rebbe, the Jewish people came to Moshe Rabbeinu and said to him, we can't sing. And Moshe Rabbeinu says to all of them, he says, let us sing in the future. Meaning to say, my friends, will come a time and we'll sing again, because we'll be reunited again with our loved ones. They will be resurrected and we'll come back together with them. And so let's sing now, not because there's no pain. Of course there is pain. But we believe in a bright future ahead. We believe in a past, and that's our history. That's the concept of Jewish history. The idea that we study the past, but we do so with deep faith in the future. The future shapes our present based on our past. And that is what Moshe Rabbeinu was trying to say to Am Yisrael in this very defining moment. Says the Belzer Rebbe to all these people who were there together with him, Holocaust survivors who had gone through so much suffering, indescribable pain. He said to them, let us sing. Let us sing, because in the future we'll be united with all our loved ones. All those who have perished, they're not gone, chas v'shalom, forever. We'll be reunited with them. And that is the message of hope with which he inspired countless Jews to rebuild, to have hope for better tomorrow. And if you ask me, I think this is perhaps one of the biggest traits of leadership, to be able to inspire hope in the most difficult moments. As I mentioned last week, the idea of seeing the future in the present, which is far from obvious for most of us. And so, dear friends, I'll conclude here with an article I read that was written by a Holocaust survivor. He wrote how, while in Auschwitz, he would wake up in the morning and he would witness the sunrise. And he would cry out to the sun and say, how can you rise again and again on a world that is drenched with the blood of a myriad of innocent people? And then he says, he came out of Auschwitz, he was liberated. And a few days later, when finally he was able to sleep on a normal bed after all these years, he gets up and he sees the same sunrise. And for the first time, what he sees there is the rays of hope. This is the light of gratitude, the light of hope in a better future. Because ultimately, this is all we have, especially in days that are so challenging as this period of time where our lives have been so upended. We need to believe in the sunrise. We must be looking forward for the good things to come. That was the message of the Belzer Rebbe, and I think this is the message of the Torah, that Netzach Yisrael lo yeshaker, that the Eternal One of Israel does not lie. Our faith in Hashem is strong, that our destiny will turn out, will somehow play out to the greater order, to a path of perfection and wholeness. And to all of you again, Shabbat Shalom u'mevorach. I look forward to see you in Shul. Shabbat Shira is a very, very important Shabbat, and we're all waiting for you.